Tonight, our speaker, and each one who is logged in. Let us pray. Father God, as we begin this dissertation on this evening, we ask thy blessings upon each person. We pray that our knowledge be increased, and we pray, Heavenly Father, for our presenter. In your name we pray, amen. Our speaker for the evening is the Reverend Hodge, the pastor of the Second Baptist Church of South Richmond. Many of you have been to his place, especially doing at least Second Baptist Church, South Richmond. You've been there because many of you got your COVID shots and boosters and so forth at Second Baptist. And we thank him and Second Baptist for helping us in that area. Tonight, he's going to speak on a couple of subjects concerning the Affordable Housing Act and also gun violence and so forth in the city of Richmond. Graduate of Howard University and the School of Theology at Virginia Union University. Reverend Hodge, it's yours.
All right. If everyone can hear me, just maybe respond or put the thumbs up so that you can hear me. I know that everyone can hear me clearly. Can you hear me clearly? Okay, thumbs up. Very good, very good. I'm going to, tonight, on top of talking about affordable housing, I am Ralph Hodge, Senior Pastor at Second Baptist Church, as Dr. Brown has said, and I'm very honored to be with you guys tonight to share and to tell you about an organization that I am a part of, what we are doing, and also how Fifth Baptist can get involved in what we're doing. I would like to, at this moment, I'm going to share my screen. So hopefully I can get it to share correctly. And let's see. I'm going to, hopefully you can see my screen. And this is the group that I'm a part of, and I've been a part of this group for about 17 years. I've been the pastor at Second Baptist for 19 years, and I've been a part of this group for 17 years. This group that I'm going to talk to you about tonight and what we do with regards to affordable housing is called RISK. It stands for Richmonders Involved to Strengthen Our Communities. Some of you may have heard about us. And hopefully you have. If not, I want to share with you our organization, how our organization works, and then the issues that we work on. And one of those big issues is affordable housing. And then I will also show a video that kind of lets you know what our work on affordable housing has been, and then give you some where we are now. And then I also will have some time for, hopefully some time for questions. So what is RISK? Right here, RISK stands for Richmonders Involved to Strengthen Our Communities. It is an organization made up of now 22 congregations from throughout Richmond, Henrico, and Chesterfield. And we're congregations. We have Christian congregations, Jewish congregations, Spanish-speaking congregations, African-American congregations. So it's a pretty good mix in our group, and we are always looking to expand to have other congregations join us. We are a social justice organization founded in 2002. We use the power of large numbers of organized, and that's a key word, organized people to solve critical community problems. We are not a direct service provider. In other words, we don't provide housing. We may advocate for funding for housing, but we don't build housing. We are a grassroots, direct action, multi-issue organization. So how does RISK work? The 22 congregations that make up RISK follow a yearly process that's focused on building and strengthening a justice ministry, and we use a Jewish word, Rodek Tizek, it means justice ministry, network at each member congregation. So each member congregation has a justice team. In the fall, around September or August of the year, team leaders host house meetings to discuss community problems and engage participants as network members. So basically what happens is every August or September, churches all over the city, 22 churches, and have several house meetings at each church. So each church might have 3 to 5 house meetings. And those house meetings will be like, say, if I'm at Second, I will host a house meeting, and I might have 10 of my neighbors come or friends that in the neighborhood, and we will come and we ask the question to everyone: what keeps you up at night? That's the question that we ask. What are the issues that are going on in the community? And so at that particular time, we hear the issues, and then we take those issues from those house meetings, and we come to a meeting called the Community Problems Assembly, where members from all of those 22 congregations gather. People who are in house meetings gather, and we talk about what were the issues that came up, and then we vote on the top 3 issues that came up, and we vote. So it's very democratic. We vote on the issues to take on, and then from that point, we begin to do research. We talk to experts all over the country. Anyone who has expertise, it could be college, university, professors, organizations all over, locally, nationally, about that particular issue. And then we seek a way to solve the problem in our community with the research that we've done. And so what happens is the committees come back after the research, and then we look for what's called a winnable solution. And at that time, we'll pick an issue. We'll figure out a good solution for that issue. We bring that issue to people in the community, whoever has the ability to really make a big decision and solve that. It may be the mayor, it may be city council, it may be an organization. In some years, we've taken things to the hospital systems and demanded that they do something about the issue. We do it at a Nehemiah action. And we use the word Nehemiah because at Nehemiah, at one point in time, he had to confront people who were overcharging people for loans in the community in the book of Nehemiah. And he told them they couldn't do that. They were basically being predatory lenders. And so Nehemiah confronted the public officials and challenged them to do better. That's what we do with our Nehemiah action. Last year, we had 2,000 people on a Zoom call. That's a pretty big Zoom call to challenge the city about some issues, not talk about those issues. But that's how it works. We have house meetings in the fall. In the fall and the winter, we do the research. In the springtime, we then challenge our local leaders to take on the winnable solution that we have presented to them. And then after that, we go into a time of celebration and then fundraising. So that's kind of how our year goes. You'll see that in the middle of this box here. We have our, number one, we have 4 assemblies a year. The Community Problems Assembly, a rally, that's where you get more information about the issues. The Nehemiah Action, where we challenge our leaders and officials. And then our celebration, where we decide, where we celebrate our win for the year. And so I'll give you a little bit of our vision, then I'll talk about the issues that we worked on. So our vision starts from Micah 6:8. Micah 6:8 talks about how God loves justice and mercy. It provides a clear list of requirements for God's people to do justice, love mercy, and to walk humbly with their God. We believe that doing justice is a core part of our faith traditions, and yet one that is often overlooked. In other words, oftentimes churches may do a lot of mercy ministry, feed the homeless, take care of people in our neighborhood, do those things, but that's mercy ministry. But we also want to do justice ministry. That means we have to fight for those who don't have a voice or those who are oftentimes overlooked. So we talk about justice ministry as well as mercy ministry. And so in 2021, we turned out a record-breaking 2,004 people to our Nehemiah Action Assembly. It was on Zoom. We had 2,000 people on Zoom. In 2022, we plan to turn out 2,300. This year it'll be at the Convention Center downtown. Through building the power of organized people, we believe we will transform the Richmond area such that justice can and will be realized for all. So that's kind of how the process works. We ask the community what are the issues, the community tells us, we vote on it, we do the research, we work on it, we figure out a solution, we bring it to the powers that be and challenge them to fix the problem with the solution that we present through our research, and then hopefully they do, and then we celebrate that win. So let me give you kind of a little bit of what we've worked on so far, and then I'm going to show you a video. So over the last several years, something keeps coming up in our house meetings, and that's the affordability of housing. how seniors being able to stay in their home, people going to find affordable rent, evictions, all these things keep coming up. And so we have a crisis in our city when it comes to the lack of truly affordable housing. And they just put out a big, Associated Press did a big article on affordability to even today about how rent has gone up all over the country. But our research shows that there's a shortage of 25,000 units of affordable housing, the vast majority of which is concentrated among households making 30% of AMI. AMI means the average median income, which now is about $27,000 for a family of four. And so if you're making that kind of money, it's very difficult to find housing that is affordable for you. That means housing that costs no more than 30% of your monthly income. That's when they talk about housing affordability, it means that a person shouldn't have to pay more than 30% of their income for their housing. Anytime it gets over that, the 40, 50% range or higher, that means the person is in danger of eviction or losing their home. That we can consider that housing unstable when they're paying that much for their rent. So when we talk about affordability, we're always talking about someone not paying more than 30% of their monthly income, and also realizing that many people in our community only make about $27,000 to $30,000 a year, making sure that rent is affordable for them in the community, or at least they have housing options. So RISC succeeded in getting the city's Affordable Housing Trust Fund funded back in 2015. Prior to that, there was an Affordable Housing Trust Fund in the city, but it wasn't funded, nor did it have a board or anybody to actually run it. So in 2000, actually, we back it up. Before that, we were pushing for them to get the board back up, get the fund up and running, and to fund the money. So at that point in time, in 2015, we were able to get the city to put in about $500,000 into that, and then it went up slowly and slowly every year. So over $9 million has been invested since then, and 1,200 units of affordable housing has been the result. The problem is that the 1,200 affordable units is nowhere near enough, and less than 10 of those units have been for households making 30% of AMI. So even though the city began to work on it, we have 25,000 units that we need. The city really was only creating a very small fraction of affordable housing in the city. And what happened was, right around 2019, we had an eviction crisis in the city. The city was ranked number 2 in the nation in regards to evictions. In other words, there was only one city in the country that was worse than us with regards to evictions. And so this past year, we succeeded in getting the mayor and city council to pass an ordinance, creating a dedicated stream of revenue for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which will grow it to an annual allocation of $10 million. So it's $10 million now. Actually, it's not growing to it. It is $10 million now. And so it's and what they say is, so right now it's got a stream of revenue coming from tax abatement and another revenue from the budget. So it combines every year to make 10 million now. By 2025, all of the money that coming in for tax abatement will be $10 million. So it'll have a dedicated stream of only 10 million from that particular fund. This past year, now that we have won the first part of getting the $10 million in the fund, now our goal is to make sure that the city uses at least half of the monies in that fund to build affordable housing for those making 30% of AMI or less. That means those, a family of four making $27,000 or less. We're making sure we're putting the pressure on the city council now and the mayor to make sure that the half of that fund every year goes towards the creation of units for those making $27,000 or less, and also helping those who are seniors and stuff like that stay in their homes. So right now the fund is used for various purposes. Different organizations are able to access the funds to help people with various housing issues in the city. Prior to this year, it only had $2 million. Actually like 1 point something, but now it has $10 million. So it has significantly more funds this year. So we hope this year we're able to begin to use that fund to spur on a lot more development. We're normally able, for every dollar in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, we're able to get about $5 to $10 in real estate investment. So we use that fund as a way to spur real estate investment, to keep people in homes, and also to create new housing. Now, I will tell you this, getting that money in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund was not easy. Getting that money to help people fight evictions was not easy. I'm gonna show you the video clip in a minute. We did have to fight the mayor and the city and to all of them to kind of make it happen, but RISC was able to make it happen because the power of organized people is significant. The power of organized church people is tremendous. And when we get together, we can make great strides to help our community. So I'm gonna show you this video about it, and then we'll open up it for some questions. So let me go back and go to our video. It's about 11 minutes, so hopefully it doesn't bore you, but it's gonna give you an idea. Let me know if you, could everyone hear that? Give me a thumbs up. Maurice, can you hear that when I play it?
I don't hear it now.
No.
Can you hear it now?
No.
No.
All right, hold 1 second. Let me see if I can figure this out a little better.
So when you do the share, go back to share.
Yeah.
And click in the lower left corner, share audio.
All right.
So you can leave the share up, but just go back to share.
And
you see that in the lower corner, it says share computer audio.
Let me see. For some reason. All right. I think what I'll do is I'll stop the share, then try it again. Let me see. All right, let's see. I'm sorry. I should by this point.
The lower left corner, it says share sound.
Share sound. Share sound.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Okay. I'm gonna go make sure. Advanced sharing.
Let's click on that, and then click your browser window again.
All right. So I clicked on share.
Share sound.
Share sound. There it is. There. Thank you. I see it. Very good.
Okay, that'll do it.
All right.
Drop that COVID-19 hits Richmond.
Start it over again.
All right.
Richmond has had a problem with affordable housing for decades, even longer, and it's only gotten worse. In 2018, it was revealed we had the second highest eviction rate in the country. It's against this backdrop that COVID-19 hits Richmond.
With COVID-19 hitting and people losing jobs and losing employment, at risk, we knew things were going to get worse in the city of Richmond.
The Housing Steering Committee met and figured out that the city was getting $20 million from the CARES Act. We were meeting with different people from the city, and no one could tell us what the plan was for our CARES Act money. We figured they didn't have a plan yet, so we decided to offer one.
And so our question to you, Mr. Mayor, is will you propose that Richmond put aside approximately $6 million from the CARES Act dollars for an emergency rental relief assistance program?
Housing, rental assistance, what we contribute to affordable housing and also help with eviction diversion will be a priority on how we use those CARES Act dollars. So I can't give you a hard percentage today, but it will be a priority on the dollars we use of the 20.2 million.
This is the right time to go ahead and say, you know what, let me just be on the right side of history. Let me take a step of faith and make that commitment right today.
Pastor Hodge, I'll find the money.
I need a commitment today.
I'm gonna find the money.
29%?
I'm gonna find the money. If I can't find the money, I'm gonna come back to you and I couldn't find the money.
No. I need you to make a commitment. The money's coming. 20 million is coming. It's not mystical money. It's coming. Let's make a commitment.
I'm gonna find the 29%, yes.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. How exciting this is. This is a true testament to the power of organized people. I am excited about this. We are on our way.
So that Monday morning, I got a surprise phone call. I checked my phone. It was the mayor of Richmond, Virginia, LeVar Stoney, letting me know that he was going to be announcing the allocation of the $6 million for the rent relief.
2,719 households had received help as of March 3rd. 7,600 people lived in these homes.
almost 8,000 people avoid the trauma of losing their homes. The power of organized people.
The city of Richmond has a shortage of 25,000 units of affordable housing. 25,000.
Initially, when we talked about the trust fund, officials and experts told us that a city like our size needed at least $10 million in the trust fund. Unfortunately, Richmond was only putting in there between $1 million and $2.9 million, I guess an average of 1.8 for those years. And so, that was such a little bit of money, it really wasn't making the kind of impact that we needed.
We decided to ask Mayor Stoney and some council members who were potential champions to commit publicly to dedicating $10 million yearly to Richmond's Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
So, Councilperson Lynch, one question at a time. I ask you first, will you commit to these goals?
Absolutely.
All right, that's a yes. Will you commit to these goals?
Absolutely.
All right, will you commit to these goals?
Absolutely.
And so, Mayor Stoney, I'm asking you the same questions. Will you commit to these goals?
I'm committed to the goal of $10 million yearly.
We had gotten solid commitments, and the officials followed through. A month after the mini action, Robertson proposed a resolution calling upon the mayor to put $10 million annually into the trust fund. On September 28th, with about 200 risk members in attendance, City Council unanimously approved the resolution. And Stoney also follows through. That same night, he introduces his One Richmond plan, calling for the creation of 1,000 units annually, 10,000 units over 10 years. What would be needed to fund this plan? $10 million annually. To help facilitate that kind of allocation, Stoney proposes an ordinance that would create a dedicated stream of funding from expiring tax abatements. It would start out at $2 million annually and grow to a $10 million allocation by the summer of 2025. The ordinance is referred to the Finance and Economic Development Committee for consideration, and we soon learned that it's stuck there.
So we organized. We rallied together all of our allies, our experts, all the developers of affordable housing that we had interviewed, and of course, our members. So at that meeting on December 17th of the Finance and Economic Development Committee, we had 200 risk members, probably the most people the Finance and Economic Development Committee had ever seen show up to one of their meetings.
There's a shortage of 25,000 units of affordable housing in our city, 25,000 families that cannot find a safe, decent, and affordable place to call home.
It's as if we're using a garden hose to put out a house fire. Worse than that, we're not even sure the water supply will remain constant. We have to do better.
I dream of a great city where people have decent, affordable housing and safer neighborhoods. I dream of a beautiful city where economic disparities and the racial wealth gaps are closed.
The committee is voting on the motion to forward item number 8, ordinance 2020-214, with the recommendation to approve. Ms. Robertson?
Aye.
Vice Chair Larson?
No.
Chair Jones?
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
The power of organized people had worked. Without our intervention, the mayor's ordinance would have died in committee. But we organized, and we brought the power of people to bear, and we won. On January 11th, the ordinance creating the dedicated stream passed council unanimously. The dedicated stream would start out at $2 million the first year, and another $8 million would be allocated from general revenue to get to the $10 million. This understanding was confirmed by members of council, as well as members of the mayor's own administration.
January the 11th. It felt so good. We're on a roll. We won the dedicated stream. We're on a great path. And then we hit a snag. when Stoney's budget came out, he didn't fund the 10 million.
2.9 million? We were floored. What had happened to the $10 million?
There was only $2.9 million for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund in the mayor's proposed budget, despite RISC having worked hard to secure public commitments and political will for $10 million. We held a press conference and got some coverage. The Richmond Times-Dispatch article included a link to the clip we provided of the mayor committing to $10 million at our August Zoom action. We also got a story on CBS 6. Stoney lashes out, and despite having committed to attend our Nehemiah action back on February 2nd, he sends us a letter accusing us of mischaracterizing his commitment and being divisive. We sent him a response calling his accusation false and asking for a meeting so we can overcome differences and move beyond them for the sake of the suffering people of the city he serves. We have yet to hear back from him on a meeting time.
It would have been easy to get distracted from our mission by the mayor's attack, but we knew this was about getting roofs over people's heads, and that was now in the hands of the city council. So we strategized. We knew we had 5 council members committed to the Nehemiah action. So one by one, we met with each of them, asking them to commit to amend the budget to get $10 million for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Leading up to the Nehemiah action, we met with every single one of them. Most of them we met with twice, if they would let us. We prepped them and prepared them for what we were going to ask. And then we prepped ourselves. We rehearsed, we role-played scenarios, we honed our argument. We wanted to practice being respectful but powerful.
Unfortunately, despite having committed to be there, Council members Robertson and Addison do not show to the action. There are 2004 community members in attendance. Council members Jones and Lynch give absolute yeses, while Council member Jordan does not make a commitment.
We knew we had taken some steps forward with the action, but we were not there yet. We had to ensure that one way or the other, they put $10 million in the trust fund, starting with the coming fiscal year.
So we organized again. We wanted them to know that we were not going away. So we made sure there were RISC members attending each and every budget work session. At the beginning of each session, we would send emails saying, "We're listening." And at the end, we would all send emails with feedback about what we had heard in their discussions. Almost every time, the message was the same. When are we going to hear you talking about the $10 million for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund?
And they finally did start talking about that. After some discussion, consensus was reached to pass a resolution calling upon Mayor Stoney to allocate $7.1 million from the American Rescue Plan dollars to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. This, on top of the $2.9 million coming from the budget, would get us to the $10 million promised.
Right now, it looks like there will be a vote on the American Rescue Plan funding in the next couple of months. And I know that with the dedication, power, and organization of RISC, we will win $10 million for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
And I got good news. We were able to get that vote, and we did receive the $10 million in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So that was good news. But I wanted you to see the video to understand RISC's position. We were pushing initially when the pandemic hit for rental relief. After discussion with the mayor, I was actually leading that particular negotiation, and you saw the mayor was very reluctant. So, but I asked him 7 times, I kept asking him, and finally he did commit to the $6 million for the rent relief, to help those who are facing eviction. And we did see $6 million used for rent relief and saves 2,700 people from being evicted. But that was just one particular item. We knew there was more to do. We needed a regular allotment of $10 million a year. So City Council did vote that. We got that secure for 2022. That vote was back in September of last year. So I just give you that update. This video that I showed you was from June. So that's what we're still hoping and wishing. But we did it. We're able to secure that $10 million allotment for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. But it also showed you, the video was to show you the effort and work that risk goes into. We've been researching affordable housing for years on various methods, and the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is just one tool in the toolbox to begin to develop affordable housing and what's necessary, what's needed for that. There's still other work that we have to do, but just wanted to give you a highlight of what it takes to kind of get that happening. I remember went to many meetings, argued and advocated for the people of Richmond, because Richmond, like I said, and not I said it, but it is one of the second worst city for evictions in the country. And so our job is at risk is to kind of get to change that. So we did a lot of work on housing. Is there any questions about the housing issues and stuff? Feel free to ask the question. I'll unshare my screen now.
So in the podcast that I listened to, Mayor Stoney, not only was the 20 million talked about, but an additional 20 million. So the first 20 million came from the COVID relief funds, and there was another 20 million that was also in his conversation. Are both of those committed now for the, yes, I guess, the current fiscal year?
Yes, yes, they are. That was one of the things in 2020 when COVID first hit. A lot of the discussion that RISC was having with the city was, well, the same discussion we've been having with them for we've been working on affordable housing trust fund stuff since 2011. So 2015, we kind of told them this thing needs more money because the housing issue in Richmond is so bad. I don't think the city didn't understand. I'm going to say this, they understand. They were not moving forward with an affordable housing plan like they needed to. And what happened when COVID hit, it really just blew the box open with regards to how bad the housing issue was in Richmond. And I think at that point, the city council and the mayor realized, wow, it's really that bad. We've really got to do something. So then people were much more open to talking about the money that was necessary for affordable housing than ever before. So I'm excited to hear now people are talking about it. But prior to 2020, nobody really wanted to hear us talk about it, But now it's a big issue, and I'm glad to see that money is not from the federal government that are coming to Richmond. They're using them and dedicating them for affordable housing.
Thank you.
Thank you for your information and for sharing. My question is whether or not it's for the surrounding counties as well as Richmond City.
Well, this is just for the city, for Richmond. We have not yet been able to approach Chesterfield yet, or Henrico yet. Henrico is considering developing an affordable housing trust fund and making efforts in that direction. I used to be president of RISC, and at the same time I was president, I became co-president with Reverend Tyrone Nelson. So Tyrone used to be in RISC, so he knew exactly what regards was needed that. So I think Henrico is going to begin to start moving in that direction as well. Chesterfield is a little slower to doing some of that progressive stuff. But we have an issue that we're working on Chesterfield now with regards to housing. We're working on this thing called Healthy Homes. If you've been down Jefferson Davis, not Jefferson Davis, it's called Richmond Highway now, that goes into Chesterfield, there's a series of trailer parks that are almost third world conditions. And so RISC is now beginning to talk to residents there. Most of them are Spanish speaking, about how we can begin to remedy the conditions that are down there in the trailer parks. And that's in Chesterfield. That's near the Fallen Creek Elementary School area, Fallen Creek Middle School area, right around that way, right when you get into, you get closer into the general supply, I forgot, Defense General.
Defense General Supply.
Yes, in that direction. Once you get right around that area, there's some housing issues going on there that we are now working on as well. That's in our Healthy Homes campaign, because the homes there are not well ventilated, not well heated or cooled, a lot of mold. And so we're working in that area to begin to get the county to do a lot of remediation in those areas to develop affordable housing in that part. Of course, that's our newest goal. We just started on that one this fall when we met with the residents down in several of the trailer parks with regards to what we can do there. So in the city, we need to build about 25,000 more affordable units. In Chesterfield, there's areas of trailer parks that we're working on as well.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. And I also will share that, I don't know if I shared it, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund in Richmond prior to this year was not just trying to do units, but also projects, groups and organizations that were doing projects to help seniors stay in homes, renovate homes, could also access that fund. So it's like a big pot of money. And so organizations can access that funds to do bridge loans on developments, create affordable housing, help renovate homes, develop units, help seniors stay in their homes. So the fund could be used. It had, of course, it was only like $1 million, $2 million before, but now it's 10. So groups can access that to use that for various ways to create and sustain affordable housing. Not sure if I said that earlier. Any other questions? All right. Well, let me share with you, so hopefully you learn something about the housing issue. Housing in Richmond is at a crisis level. Prior to the pandemic, there were about 1,400 people facing eviction at the courthouse every month. So that's pretty substantial. That's a lot of people every month that are facing eviction. And so that the eviction moratorium slowed that down, of course. Of course, that's over. And so people, they're going back to it. But there's some groups that have now been able to grab some of that Affordable Housing Trust Fund money to help stave off some of those evictions and give people time. So we still have a housing crisis. And so we're still working on that. There is another thing that we're working on. Once again, like I shared, RISC starts to work on projects based on what the community tells us. So back in 2019, right before the pandemic hit, at our house meetings, our members were sharing, we have members everywhere, Hillside, Creighton, Northside, members that are wealthy and members that are poor, but everyone was sharing at their house meetings how they were beginning to sense that gun violence was becoming a bigger problem. Now, a lot of people know that violence and crime have been going down 2017, 2018, 2019. Violence had been crime had been going down, but my members were sharing that they were beginning to feel that shootings were going up. So in 2019, we said, oh, we need gun violence is a big issue. So we began to pray about it. We took it to our meeting. It was voted on as an issue to work on. And so in 2020, we began to do some research about how to slow down gun violence in your community. What are the best proven practices? So we talked to experts all over the country, from Connecticut, Philadelphia, Chicago, Oakland, everywhere. We talked to different experts and how to reduce gun violence. And then they took us to John Jay College. That is the college where people study crime. And then also the National Network of Safe Communities, this big organization that's cities and government